for joining us. So while we wait for Lesego, can just go ahead and introduce yourself, your organization and what you do.
Yes, I'm currently working for a Canadian company looking after the Africa branch. We focus on customer engagement. So the premise for the organization, or the genesis, is that business is built on relationships, and everyone says that, but no one measures it. So we give you a formal mechanism to measure the health of your business relationships and how this translates to commercial value. And we work primarily with the big brands. So name a brand that you shop with, and they more probably clients of ours. So we're talking about the Heinekens, Diageo's, Procter & Gamble's, Unilever's, Coca-Cola's, Pepsi's, SC Johnson, Colgate-Palmolive, all the way through there. And then we work with a lot of the retailers in that dynamic, as well as the distributors. We're in 45 countries around the world, and it's very exciting. We're very much on trend. So it talks to what we are very much putting in a keynote I did recently. We talk about the rise of collaboration innovation as a competitive advantage. So something I'm very, very passionate about. But I do also sit as a director a board director on a Chamber of Commerce of Trade and Industry. So we're promoting foreign direct investment into South Africa from Central Europe. Trying to create a competitive reason to invest in South Africa versus taking your capital somewhere else. So you can imagine the challenges that we face in doing that, because we don't make it easy to attract investment. And I was past board chairman of the e-commerce from Africa, so promoting a digital first economy and leveraging the digital economy for Africa's economic and social development. So I've worked with local government, regional government, the African Union, the WTO, the UN, World Economic Forum. And in prior life, I was at Deloitte for 10 years and in startups before then.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Dylan. So your job now, I think, puts you in a unique position because you are dealing with so many brands and so many people and the connections. What I want to know from you is, what are sort of some of the trends that are coming up in the digital economy? Like, what are you learning about how the world of work would look in 10, 20 years to come, based on the different information that you're getting now in your work, in your field of work?
So I think there's for me a story that just kind of tees up that question and my viewpoint. So I was very, very fortunate to be invited by the UN Economic Commission to present at the World Investment Forum in Geneva a couple of years ago. And I got to sit on a stage with Alibaba, with Vertex Holding, with some African venture capital funds, and real imposter syndrome. But part of that session, there are a couple of things that came out. Firstly, that the digital economy is growing at a pace that we cannot even fathom, and that we do have a potential advantage in Africa to see success in the future. What is driving that? It's mainly our population dynamics. We have a young population. I think it's I remember the stats. 60% are under the age of 34, and when you look at the next cohort brackets up to kind of your 45, 50, we got another 30%. So versus the rest of the world, which are aging populations, we got a really young population. So that tees us up to take advantage of the future economy in the next 10, 20, 30 years. The last part is around Sophia. So Sophia is the most advanced humanoid artificial intelligence in the world, created by Hanson Robotics, is basically her father. And at this session, we had Sophia there. We got an opportunity to meet her, and she was getting interviewed. Now, this is a humanoid, so she looks human. She's a robot, but she's artificial intelligence, a humanoid. And she's sitting engaging with a panel as well as the audience. And they ask her creator, what is she doing? What's she thinking? She says, well, don't ask me, because she's listening to you, asking me questions. He's listening to every question, every response, and she is synthesizing all this information, creating her own perspective. She has a view. Talk to her, interview her as a humanoid, as a human being hybrid with artificial intelligence. Okay. So he's asking you a couple of questions, and one question really, really stood out. He asked Sophia, the most advanced humanoid and artificial intelligence on this planet, Sophia, if there's one thing you could do, what would it be? Now we're thinking this is a perfect beauty pageant response opportunity, right? World peace, solve world hunger, end all conflict. You know, these big, broad issues that we have. You know, save the planet from ourselves. And Sophia's response was, if there's one thing I could do, I'd like to learn to dance.
Okay.
I would like to do, yeah, so that took us all by surprise. So what do we take from that? One of the most advanced artificial intelligence in the world, in terms of a humanoid, wants to connect with the basics of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
What does that tell us? The more digital we become, the more we need the human connection. Now, in the context of the future of work and jobs of the future, and we're seeing this play out in the stats. You know, I was reading a World Economic Forum and World Bank reports on this recently. When we look at the transition of jobs into this digital era and this rapidly evolving digital era, we see the rise of jobs that are around cognitive skills. What does that mean? It's the ability to work with and enable technology to create value in society. So it's not just the technology itself creates the value, it's how we use the technology. And that means it's the opportunity is how we work with it, the ability to think critically, creatively, to make sense of the world that we're working in. So I think I'll start with that, because I mean we can go into a whole stream of things from there. But let me leave it at that, and we can build on it as we go forward.
That was a fantastic story. I didn't even know there was a Sophia. So I guess that will lead us perfectly into our next question, which is, what are the examples of like these fringe careers and non-traditional career paths? You know, what's there? You know, with Sophia, it's just so amazing how, you know, we're advancing and you can make like an almost human robot, you know. So what are the sort of things that people can look forward to as career paths to do?
Yeah, look, so I think this is sometimes the risk with this. So what do we do as humans? We want to say, well, what is the future? And I want to know, tell me what the future is and tell me what it looks like, when I don't know what it looks like. So, you know, I disagree with what someone was saying earlier, that we go and talk to people and say, understand what is the type of job that you want, and therefore go and get that job that you want. I think that is disgenuine and not genuine, and it doesn't take into account reality. Reality is that sometimes we don't know the jobs we want because we don't know what they're going to be, and we don't know how we fit in. Now let's take our current reality. If a scholar, whether it's a student who's studying a tertiary institution or we're in school, is very clear on what they want to do once they finish their education, then you're in a very privileged position. It's a wonderful position to be in. So if you know, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, an engineer, a boiler maker, you know, then that is fantastic. But that is not the majority. And why is that? Because most of the time we don't even know what are the full extent of jobs out there. What are the types of jobs we could do? So one caller was saying, well, you know, this is what I like, and therefore what job matches that? We don't really know. We have to go and explore and test and learn. So what does this mean for jobs of the future? We know the types of jobs are going to evolve. What does that mean? It means that there are certain jobs that might become more automated and fall off.
Yeah.
But then there are new jobs that will replace them that we are still exploring. So I'll give you example. The World Bank or the World Economic Forum report talks about the changing job environment. Okay, and they estimated that by 2025, 2026, which is very short term, that there's going to be 85 million jobs globally that might be displaced by the shift in labor dynamics between humans and machines. Right? At the same time, they also believe that there'll be an emergence of 97 million new types of jobs. So jobs are disappearing, but new jobs are going to be coming to the fore. And what are they? So, and what could they be? It's around the data analyst side. So if you take data entry clerks, for example, that is a role that might not be significant in the future. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, by the way. We hire data entry clerks at the moment in some roles. Okay, but it could change in the future. So now it becomes more around the data analysts. So understanding the data, becoming a data scientist. We talk about administrative and executive secretaries. Right? This could evolve. Doesn't mean they disappear, but might decrease because parts of that role become automated, and then we have more AI and machine learning specialists. Accounting, bookkeeping might evolve into big data specialists more, because you might have systems to manage that. And there's a plethora of different types of jobs that we look at. The other side that's coming through is in a trend, and I'm sure we're all seeing this, was mentioned earlier, is having multiple type of jobs in the gig economy. So it's a contract worker job. Predominant our workforce, our team, we have seasonal contract work. Okay, they do get paid in dollars, but it's an output based versus a time based role.
Okay.
And as we start looking at this, so even as a family, so with my wife, we're saying, well, what are other roles that we can augment and do offshore and earn potentially dollar? Transcriptions, interviews, these kind of things that are basically taking data into a machine so the machine can work with the data. So now we don't have the analysis side, we have just the input. As an example, so transcriptions, there's a whole lot of opportunities with that. We look at the type of jobs. So what we talk about kids and saying, well, what is the job of the future as being a content creator? What does that mean? How do I leverage that? We look at ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT has only been around for 6 months, 8 months. I use it almost daily now. I'm lecturing at a business school, and I've used it to facilitate the design of the lectures. I've used it to facilitate the design of the assignment and exam questions. And I've used it live in the course to come up with solutions to questions. Now, it's not always correct, but it's how we use it to enhance what we are doing. Okay, so I don't answer a direct question saying these are the exact jobs. What I'm trying to get across is we don't know exactly. So how do we give ourselves the best opportunity for success in the future? And that is not a panacea. It is not do one thing and suddenly I'll have success. It's a whole lot of things. We're going to continuously up skill.
Yeah.
So I am, leading a company, but I'm lecturing. Why am I lecturing? Because that's forcing me to continuously learn.
Yeah.
I'm also doing courses on the side online because I want to upskill. I want to do a course around understanding AI prompts better so that I can more effectively use artificial intelligence in my everyday environment. I'm constantly researching every day. So these are important factors. I think a lot of the time we think, well, just tell me the one thing to go and do and expect to succeed.